Good morning.
Hi.
We're so happy to be here for our 5th annual Character Day. And first we're going to introduce our hosts who are going to take you through this day. I'm Tiffany Schlane. I'm a filmmaker and co-founder of Character Day.
I am Sawyer Steele. I'm a co-founder of Character Day as well.
Fellow filmmaker.
Hi, I'm Renee Wilson, a filmmaker and a singer and an actor.
Hello everyone, I'm Mackenzie Darling. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships and Engagement, and so excited to have you all be watching today.
Yes, and it is great because Character Day has grown. We have over 200,000 groups in all 50 states and all over the world having events today and tapping in. And there's a lot of people just at work also tapping in. We welcome everyone into this conversation. What we like is it is hyper global and hyper local at the same time. And I think that we can all agree that in times that feel kind of divided, we can all agree on developing ourselves, thinking about the things that matter, and living a life of purpose. And we're going to talk about all of those things today. And actually, let's kind of break down the numbers because it's very interesting how much it's grown. This was started as an experiment, and could we use a film to launch a global conversation? And now in our 5th year, the experiment's working. How many schools do we have participating?
So 5 years ago, there were 1,500 events around the globe. And this year, as Tiffany said, 200,000 events. That's about a 13,000% growth or something like that. I think we're estimating this year that there are 15,000 different schools involved. That could be classrooms, that could be entire auditoriums, that could be some school districts are doing it across the entire school district, from elementary through high school, universities, companies, and that's about 4 million people.
Fantastic. And Mackenzie, tell us some of the countries that are participating, because we have so many interesting places doing. The best part is everyone does a completely different thing, which is super cool. So.
Yeah, so throughout the day, we're going to be virtually tapping into events all over the world. I'm really excited. It was a pre-recorded session because obviously Character Day has already happened over in Hong Kong, but they've been participating in a big way over the last 3 years, so really excited to be showcasing that. We have events in an event in Bulgaria. We're visiting Mississippi. We're visiting Texas and Kansas, so it's going to be a really awesome day.
And we're closing out the day with Refinery 29 in Manhattan, one of our favorite partners. So that's going to be super fun. And Renee, I mean, character, even that word, means something different to different people. But why do you feel like it's important to, in our very busy lives, focus on character? And what does that mean to you when you hear that word?
Well, for me, character is really important. It's about like just developing myself as a human being and how can I be a good person in the world? How does that match with my actions in terms of how I'm of service, how I am with other people, how I can live with an open heart and not judge people, meet people where they are. And that's to me like a constant learning and growing and evolving really. And so as long as I'm alive on this planet, I want to keep developing my character because it's like, to me, one of the most important things that we have and we can share, we can give in this world.
And our tagline this year, which I'm so excited by, is we're all works in progress, because hopefully we're all lifelong learners, and we're always, I'm always thinking of things I need to improve and work on and try to appreciate things more, especially as I get older. So it really, and it changes as you, from like, we saw some great pictures of like kindergartners talking about it, to 5th graders, to 8th graders, to university students, to companies, to parents. Everyone should be talking about this, and we're all kind of coming at it different ways, but we are all works in progress, and life itself is progress. And we asked people, our social media campaign was, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received? Because when you ask people that question, what's so interesting about it is it tells you what guides them, and it gives you insight on what character strengths they value. So I thought we would kick it off ourselves. And actually, if you want to look at, there's so much great advice out there. I was reading it this morning, like, wait, I have to prepare, but there's so many gems. You can go to #cultivatingcharacter on Twitter and go to our Facebook page, and you'll see all this great advice. But fellow co-hosts, what's a piece of advice that's guided you on this journey?
What's yours?
Well, I have a couple. It depends what I need that day. Well, the process one, I think the tagline this year was really inspired by my mom, who's a psychologist. And she's always saying life is process. You never get anywhere. You're always in process. And her big lesson to me was enjoy the process. It's not about like getting somewhere. It's about every day enjoying the process. That's from my mom. And from my dad, he always said, think big, which I think Character Day exemplifies.
I think you've got that one.
Okay, those are mine. Those are mine. Somebody else go. Mackenzie, what is yours?
My mom always said, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
I love that one. Renee, what about you?
My grandmother used to always tell me, she said, love yourself and then you can help me. It's like the global me, the individual me.
Beautiful. Beautiful. What's yours?
I thought about so many that I've heard over my life this morning, and the one that just kept resonating was work hard, play hard. It's always been something that we said, and I think as I get older, the play hard part becomes even more profound. Not just watching my kids, but being an adult, remembering that playing is so hard and that it evolves throughout our lives.
Wait, can I be schmaltzy? We've worked together for like 13 years. This is our 7th Global Day. We do Character Day, and we also do 50-50 Day about gender equity. They're very connected.
And it really did start with a little idea that we had a hunch about, and so
right,
here we are.
but it is, I think all of our projects, we work really hard. It's like a million details, but then ultimately we want to have fun with you today. We're trying to take a really complicated and sometimes heavy subject and make it light, and make it, not light, that's the wrong word, but make it something that people can play with and engaging. Yeah. Okay, so I am going to, we have some housekeeping. The housekeeping it's film keeping, is that, what most people are doing today is we've now made 5 films that people can do their Character Day events out. Connected, which was our feature documentary that we made that premiered at Sundance 8 years ago. That's a feature-length documentary. A lot of people are showing that, and that explores kind of meaning and purpose on a bigger level. Then we have The Science of Character, which is an 8-minute film a lot of people are playing. We also have The Making of a Mensch. Oh, wait, I should say Science of Character. We also have these discussion cards and this poster, which is all online too. If you don't have that, you can still do that. People get those for free at their events. And then we have one called The Making of a Mensch, which is the Jewish version of Science of Character. What else? We have 30,000
Days.
30,000 Days, which is all about 3,000-year history of living a life of meaning and purpose and a life that matters. And then we also have The Adaptable Mind, which are like, what are the skills you need to flourish in the 21st century?
So all of those, except for Connected, are short films, 10 or so minutes, and all have discussion materials, including Connected.
Yeah, and we have some great speakers. I'll say a couple. Who are you interviewing today, Mackenzie?
I'm really excited to be interviewing Sean Stevenson, who's an author, speaker, and a therapist, and a lot of his work has to do around resilience. So I'm very, very excited. That's just one of them.
And who are you interviewing right after this?
Yay! I'm interviewing Lieutenant General Anthony J. Cotton. We're going to be talking about character in the Air Force.
That's so cool.
All
That's
about
so
character.
cool. He's so great. Oh, I see him coming up. Okay, wait, and I'll tell you, we have Krista Tippett from On Being. I love her. Sir Ken Robinson, amazing. Angela Duckworth, who coined the term grit. We have so many great speakers, and they're kind of telling us that we need to get to the program. So we're going to do this. Oh, wait, I'll leave with one closing thought. To me, these days represent the best of humanity when we all remember that we're part of something much larger than just ourselves. And in these days, I feel like that's more important than ever. We need to remember that we all want the same things, and it's super important right now. So with that, let's get this show started, and we'll go to the first interview. We're going to leave you and let you do your interview.
All right.
And have a great day. We'll be on all day, so tap in for the 15-minute interviews throughout the day.
Good morning. Good morning. Hi.
Good morning, Renee.
How are you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Very excited.
I'm doing well here in the great state of Alabama in Montgomery.
I'm very excited to see you. Happy Character Day.
Oh, well, thanks for having me this morning.
You're welcome. I just want to take a minute to welcome Lieutenant General Anthony Cotton. He is the commander and president of Air University Air Force Base in Alabama and leads the Intellectual and Leadership Center at the U.S. Air Force Base, working with tens of thousands of officers all around this idea of character. Welcome, welcome. So I just want to jump right in. So with all of your years serving and training, what does character mean to you? And how do we teach it? And how do we embody it?
It's funny because I was just listening to the conversations that you were having with your panelists that were there, and they started to talk about things that you shared with. I think even you talked about you shared with your growing up with your with what your mother or grandmother would say, and those lifelong learning type of experiences that you had as you were raised as a child. So if you think about the United States Air Force. It's about integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. Can you hear me, Renee?
I can hear you, but it's a little unclear sometimes. But I can hear most of it.
Okay.
It's a little.
How about now? Is it coming in a little more clearer or not?
It's kind of little. I can hear you.
It's not coming in.
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So when we talk about the United States Air Force, we talk about integrity, service, and excellence. And I think that's the backbone, to be frank, of what character building is for us as airmen. It's not working, guys. So.
It's like very.
This is an exciting part of the experiment.
Yeah, it's very
This
scratchy.
little-
Do you have the volume?
It's not the volume. It's just. It's very. I can't.
It's just a rough connection.
Yeah, that's all. But I can hear you. I'm just going to listen very carefully.
Okay.
Because I want to hear
when we
everything you're
talk
saying.
So when we talk about integrity first, when we talk about service before self, and when we talk about excellence, I think when you do readings on character, those are embodiments that are our core values for all of our airmen, officer and enlisted. I always tell folks that I think character is created from the home, and then we enhance it as members of our United States Air Force. And then, to be frank, and then we monitor, and when we find flaws, then that's probably when you don't meet the requirements of being an airman in our United States Air Force. Mm-hmm. But fundamentally, and I think it's quite appropriate. I just left a presentation to 500 young captains that are here taking a course, and I've coined what I call is Cotton's 4 C's. And in Cotton's 4 C's, I talk about from a character leadership perspective on how are you competent, how are you committed in your tasks, how are you composed and everything. Do you have composure, and do you have compassion? Because I think those are fundamental in being great stewards of young airmen that you lead, whether you're enlisted or whether you're an officer. So to me, the foundation and the core root of everything that is leadership for an airman in the United States Air Force is based on character building.
Yes. Thank you so much. And so, is character education something that's specifically carved out in education at these levels at Air University? Is it infused in everything? Is it separate? Like, is it called out?
Yeah. So character building for us is infused in our leadership modules, and so every course that you take at Air University has leadership modules. Is the core root and context. So yes, we do national security strategy. We do civics, if you will, for understanding what's going on around the world. But key to the courses that we have here are leadership development courses. So all of our leadership development courses, at the core of all of that is you're leading people. So in order to understand how to lead people, I need to make sure that we're building and nurturing the character that you brought with you from home, and that you have the right character traits to be able to lead over 600,000 airmen.
Yeah, that's important. Wow, it sounds like a really important job. Well, how is the way characters taught changed throughout the years? What have you seen?
Oh no, I think we've seen a lot. So I tend to call it soft sciences or social sciences. In the past, when we've been dealing with a lot of actions that are down, fighting in Afghanistan, fighting in Iraq, a lot of process-driven things have come into play for a lot of the junior leaders in our Air Force. I think the change that we're seeing and that we're manifesting is pushing some soft skills and leadership traits that are more empathetic, more compassionate driven, because you're leading people.
Yes.
And it's not all about process. It's about understanding, and it's about all the tenets of having, accountability, forgiveness, those things of politeness. It's just something that I think, when you talk to look at a person as a human being, as opposed to looking at a person that's reporting to you and working for you. That's what we're trying to continue to instill in our leadership, especially mid-level leadership in our Air Force.
I love
and we have
that.
courses that are going into just that.
I love that so much, because it is about people and how you interact with each other, and just that empathy part is so important. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Oh, wow. It's pretty simple. Breathe through your nose and listen.
Breathe through your nose and listen. That's wonderful. That's pretty simple, right?
So the breathing through your nose piece means that, there's going to be times when things are going to get pretty hectic. And the way you react to that is all about being, and you remember I talked about the composure piece, on how well composed you are, and can you kind of take a step back, and then here comes that term, breathe through your nose, think through the situation without reacting, quickly to it, because then, sometimes that quick reaction, you might not like the results of that quick reaction because it was based off of emotion, as opposed to kind of taking a step back and thinking what is the right answer and how do you move forward.
Wow. It makes me so happy to hear that this kind of training is going on in the military. I think it's so important. And
it is, ma'am.
If you have one thing you'd like to leave everyone with, what would it be?
I spent my time. I've been in the Air Force for 32 years, and like I said, I was just with about 500 students just a few minutes ago before joining you, and I opened up the conversation by saying thank you to them, and I ended the conversation by saying thank you to them. I think if I could leave one thing, I think the piece about being a compassionate leader, I think really holds true in how do you make sure that you take care of the people that are under your charge. So as a general officer in the United States Air Force, and as someone who's been in command for many commands, the men and women that sign up and are members of our armed services are on loan from their families. And I want to be able to return that airman back to their families and make sure that they are a better person than even when they left. And if I didn't do that correctly, then that's on me and that's my fault. So I think by instilling a sense of discipline in that individual, a sense of them understanding that they too can be compassionate, I think that's a win for all of us.
Thank you so much. I think that everything that you said today is so important, and it's exciting to hear that the people in our military are being treated as human beings, and they're being taught to treat other people as human beings and think before they act. And thank you so much for being here with us today. Appreciate it. Happy Character Day.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Renee. Happy Character Day.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. All right. I'd love to invite Tiffany back to us, and she's going to be...
Hello.
stepping in for her wonderful interview.
I gotta put my fur back on.
Yeah, get your fur back on in here. Come on.
Fur back on. Okay, we're gonna move that chair out. That was a great interview. That was so great. I love hearing about the Air Force. I think I have a fantasy about being a pilot, like everybody, and so I was so happy to have him in. We're adjusting things since I am going to be by myself here. Oh, look at, hello, Bill. Let's see if he can hear me.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, hello. I can. Are we all ready now? We are going live, Bill, to over 200,000 events all over. We're so happy you're with us. And can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine, yeah.
Awesome. I have to share with you, I went to Cal, and I am married to a Berkeley professor, but I have a niece and a nephew that just started at Stanford. So I feel like we're part of the same family now.
Well, it's fine. It's a silly little rivalry. But are they freshmen this year?
There's a freshman and a sophomore.
Oh, fantastic! It's really, the freshmen all arrived on campus on Thursday.
Yes, I know. I got all the pictures from my sister. It's so exciting.
Yeah, it's such an exciting day when everybody shows up and the parents are crying.
Oh, I know. It's like I know. I have years to go. I have a 9-year-old and a 15-year-old, but I get so emotional just even thinking about it. And my husband, who's a professor at Cal, tells me about that excitement when the school year starts. I feel like I'm living it every year, like through Ken. But yeah, it's so great. And I loved reading more about your class. I, of course, have heard about it and your great books. Let me give you a formal introduction because we are live, even though I was just kibitzing with you. We have Bill Burnett. He's a professor at Stanford and executive director of the design program at Stanford. And he has co-authored a New York Times best-selling book called Designing Your Life, which it sounds like we all need to read to thrive at any age, as your tagline says. So I'm really interested in this idea. I actually love the idea of designing everything in your life. Like everything can be art, everything can be the way you live can be a beautiful design. And of course, you've gone into that in a course. So why don't just in a quick overview, why don't you tell everyone who is not familiar with your class and your book, the philosophy behind it?
Sure. And this came out of the stuff we do, design research. I was talking to lots and lots of students in office hours. And they were really concerned. They were worried about launching after school, and would work be interesting? Would it be purposeful? Would there be some meaning in their life? I mean, and nobody wants to just have a life and then at the end of it go, well, that didn't amount to anything. So it's kind of the age-old question, but there's a lot of angst amongst my students. And so Dave Evans, who's on here today, he's our co-author, and I put together this class because we figured, I teach design and the principles of human-centered design. We call it design thinking, where you go out and you talk to people about what their problems are, what their needs are, and then you try to make the world a little better by solving the problem. Your life is like that. It's an unknown future. You don't know what's going to happen. Every time you do something, everything else changes. So it's a classic area that design thinking could be applied. And so it's been really great. When people take on the mindsets of a designer, when they become curious, when they learn how to reframe their problems, when they realize that radical collaboration, like doing stuff in the world, is where the answers are, they get really excited. The class has been going on now for 12 years. The book came out, I think, in September of 2016, so it's been almost 2 years now. And the response has been great. People really enjoy the reframe of thinking, hey, my life's not a problem to be solved. My life is this unfolding, exciting adventure. And it's kind of fun to think about designing stuff, because design is inherently about making the world more beautiful. Design is essentially an aesthetic process, building beautiful things. And so the principles of design thinking, the stuff we teach at Stanford, I have about 130 undergraduates, about 30 graduate students in our program. They're learning to become kind of rock star designers. But anybody can take these principles, and with just a little bit of training, a little bit of understanding, they can start thinking about their life as a design. And then it becomes a lot more fun.
I love that. Our tagline this year is "We're all works in progress," and I think that also speaks to what you're saying, because you can design design your life and then constantly be readjusting and rethinking your priorities as different things happen in your life, and always be kind of engaging with your life as this incredible design project. I love that framing. It's gorgeous.
Well, you might as well think that way, because even if you have a plan, you just had
not going to happen.
You just had the guy from the Air Force. There's an old military expression: "No plan of battle survives first contact with the enemy." We don't use military stuff so much in class, but we reframe that as: no plan for your life survives first contact with reality. I mean, even if you have a plan, you're going to have to improv, because stuff's going to happen. And sometimes good stuff's going to happen that you weren't, like something, you're standing in line at the Starbucks and you get to talking to somebody who knows this person who has this really interesting job. And then suddenly you find yourself, down a new path. So
it's interesting. We made this film that people are showing today, one of them called 30,000 Days. And that's the amount of days you have to live if you live the average life expectancy of 82 years. And we kind of close, it reminded me of what you're saying, because we feel like no matter what happens in your life, because it's going to be things unexpected, some good and bad, but your character strengths and having a sense of who you are is what grounds you to make sense of a future that's unknown. So as long as you're working on your character strengths, whether it's curiosity, creativity, courage, empathy, purpose, all of those things, those are going to ground you as life throws you the millions of things that it throws you all of the time. And I'm actually curious, I mean, it's always interesting when you come out with a book, you've been out, you've talked about it, have there been any new insights since you came out with it, or things that have surprised you just with the response, or?
Oh, yeah, I mean, tons and tons of things. That I've never written a book before, and when you go out and you talk about the book or you do book signings, of course, people come up and now they've read the book, so they come up and they share their experiences. One thing that was just fascinating to me is that, the book says it's about designing your life and it gives you lots of tools, but we never really, we never address relationships. Like, it's not just your life. If you've got a partner, a significant other, kids and stuff, it's a design of a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of people. So people were coming up to us and saying, hey, my partner and I, or my wife and I, or my significant other and I are doing the book together, and it's the first time we're not arguing about do I win or you win. We're actually co-designing a future.
I love that. Even as a family, I mean, even as you're talking about it, it's like I was thinking about, like, what does our family stand for? What story do we want to tell? Why are stories important? And I love that. So you were writing it more for the individual, and what you're saying is that as you've gone out with it, it's really about the relationships in your life, to really think bigger about the interdependence of everyone's designing their life experience.
Absolutely. I think we've started a second book. It's more about work, but I'm gonna write some more about this phenomenon, just more research, because I think it's it's people often get trapped in the sort of zero-sum game problem. Either we follow my career or we follow your career. Either I get what I want or you get what I want, and you get what you want. And that's not the right way to live life. Life is actually it's a pretty big game. It's an infinite game, and there's lots of ways to pull more resources in.
I love that. I love it. Also, we do this other global day called 50-50 Day, which is about getting to a more balanced world. And what you're talking about is so true. Like, there's different times in the relationship with your partner and even your children where things need more time and attention, and you kind of hold up half the sky a little bit more, and then you go back, and then you can do projects together too. Actually, that's what my husband and I, Ken and I, have found. Working on projects together is like our favorite thing. And we can't always do it, but it's so wonderful to just come to that place. Like, it isn't one or the other, but it can be a joint collaboration. We're asking speakers, and there's over 200,000 events happening, and the big question we're asking everyone is, what's the best piece of advice you've ever heard? And we know that some people have multiple pieces of advice depending on where you are, but it's so fun, because all over, starting last night, like, everyone's saying their advice online, and it's so interesting because it's so illuminating, because it says both, it's first sharing great wisdom, and secondly, it illuminates what that person values or what they're working on, what they need to keep remembering, right? That's what advice is. So I was wondering if there's been a couple guiding pieces of advice that you're like, Bill's like, you're like, what's going to censor me again? Do you have that you could share?
Oh, well, the one that we give out when asked to sort of condense things to something very simple is our advice is get curious, talk to people, and then go try stuff. So get curious, because curiosity is the energy that pulls you into talking to people, because that's radical collaboration with the world. And trying stuff is just prototyping. You designers prototype solutions. So that's the one when they said, hey, they're going to ask you about this question, what's your best piece of advice? I got a piece of advice once from a woman named Stacy Parsons. And Stacy's a leadership coach and an amazing woman, and among other things, I think was on Stanford's first women's national championship basketball team.
Cool.
So she's quite.
That's cool. My 9-year-old was swimming basketball.
Yeah, and her advice is ask for 100% of what you want 100% of the time.
Oh,
and
I love that. That's so good.
It's not a the world is all about me. It's just literally put yourself out in the world with 100% integrity all the time, and ask for what you need, what you want to do. She says, when she started doing it, she was a little afraid that maybe it would, just be weird, or that it wouldn't work. But she says, you'd be surprised if you just show up. What is Woody Allen's thing? Showing up is 80% of life.
Right.
If you just show up with 100% of you all the time, that catalyzes stuff in the world that you just never would have experienced otherwise. So ask for 100% of what you want.
I love 100%. That. We should just put that big in everyone's office, or on the refrigerator. Well, no, you don't want 100% of what's in the refrigerator. That's where mine might go. But something that you said, 100%. Ask for it, put it up there, think about it, keep showing up. I love all of that. And one of the things we get asked a lot is we give people that are hosting events resources and practices on what they can do to strengthen certain character strengths. Like, can you strengthen your sense of perseverance? Can you strengthen your sense of creativity? Can you strengthen your sense of courage? And we have or gratitude. And there's so many practices you can do to strengthen that. And when you were saying stay curious, it kind of links to me to, can you strengthen your sense of creativity? A lot of people ask that question. And I see those so linked. If you want to strengthen your sense of creativity, you need to strengthen your sense of curiosity, because how do you feel about that, those two things?
No, it's absolutely true. It's the sort of foundational energy of human beings is we are inherently curious. There's a thing called self-determination theory that says there's 3 intrinsic motivations, and one of them is essentially curiosity. We're just curious animals to pick up sticks and make tools and do things. But it's not a matter of strengthening your curiosity so much as rediscovering it. We were all incredibly curious when we were 3 or 4 or 7, and we could pick up a stick and turn it into any kind of a toy. And we were super imaginative, and we could make up stories in our head. But what happened is, we went to school, and then we were told to sit down and be quiet and listen. And we were told shush, shush, shush whenever we were being too active. And we were also told not to, we were controlled by, well, that's not the proper thing to say. When you were little and you were like, oh, Grandma, I haven't seen you in a long time. You look so much fatter now. And everyone went, oh, no, don't say that to Grandma, don't say that. But that was just your curiosity coming out in a way. So what we do a lot in the classes that we teach is try to lower people's fear of just being curious. It's a fear response. We've been trained these little boxes, and so we don't think about crazy ideas anymore. We don't have that curiosity. So the practice is once a day, pick up any object, pick up a stapler, pick up a paper clip, anything, and try to list 100 ways you could use that thing that aren't stapler. Like, what's 100 uses for?
I'm writing this down. I'm like, pick up any object, 100 ways that you could use that. I friggin' love that.
I mean, it's like I could smash this window and get out of this room with a stapler. I could, there's lots of ways you can think of it. So give yourself little challenges where you have to come up with crazy ideas so that you just get back to that natural.
It's like you're loosening up all of that curiosity juice inside of you, and I love that idea that you never run out of creativity. Creativity breeds creativity, curiosity breeds curiosity, And with
Absolutely.
that, I want to come in and sit on your class one day because I'm super curious about it. Maybe I'll audit and visit my niece and nephew. And we have to wrap up, but it was such a delight to speak with you. And I love this. You left the two things have 100 in them, I'm noticing. Your piece of advice, 100% show up and ask for what you want and do 100 things with random objects in your day. So we're going to leave with the thought of 100. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I look forward to meeting you in person someday.
That would be great.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you so much. And next up, I'm going to speak to one of my favorite rabbis, Rabbi Cindy Mintz from Temple Emmanuel, and she's so amazing. I'm going to give the formal intro in a sec, but you're in for a real treat because she's one of the funniest people I know. I'm so happy to have one of my favorite rabbis, Cindy Mintz here from Temple Emmanuel. She's just a rock star and a very long beard. And she also serves on the board of Bend the Arc, a Jewish partnership for justice. She's one of my dear friends, and she's got a beard. How are you doing, Sydney?
You know, I just thought I would channel Rabbi Israel Salanter this afternoon because I was so excited for Character Day, and I'm ready to respond to anything you want to talk about, either as Israel Salanter or as myself, who's a little bit more contemporary than Rabbi Israel Salanter.
I'm so glad that you're channeling Salanter because, you know, he's got some of the best sayings about Musar, which is like the Jewish science of character. Are you comfortable wearing that? Do you think you could, no?
I'm not. Only half of me is comfortable, so I'm going to take off the payas, and I'm going to take the shirt.
Oh, my God, look at you put him. You look great. Okay.
I'm back.
I'm so glad you're here joining us for Character Day. We have people around the world tapping into these conversations with some of our favorite people on the subject of developing one's character. And I'm talking to you because, you know, I'm a Jew. You're a Jew. And when I first started Character Day, I actually didn't know the deep history of thoughts around character development in Judaism because I was a bad Jew. I think I'm a better Jew. I still think I'm a bad Jew, but I'm always striving. But share with me your thoughts on Musar or Judaism and character development working on yourself.
Well, first of all, Tiffany Schlain, there is no such thing as a bad Jew.
Okay,
I am completely opposed to a Jew, bad Jew. You could be a struggling Jew. You could be Jewy, you could be Jewish, but you're always a Jew. So the idea of character development comes from the very, very beginning, I would say, in the Torah, from the story of Genesis, where there's this struggle that God gives people between tilling and tending the earth and having dominion over it. And so I think we actually start out with this natural division and struggle between taking care of the world and taking over the world. And I think that that's a reflection of how we feel about ourselves sometimes in our relationships with other human beings. As we said before, Musar, which is really a word that occurs over and over again, I think over 50 times in the Torah, has to do with Jewish ethics. And it was a very individual practice really until the 19th century. The first real practice of it in writing came from the 10th century with a rabbi named Saadia Gaon. And then the Rebbe that I was channeling before, Rabbi Israel Salanter, really took it to a much more communal place where people started thinking about developing their ethical practices and identifying with those character traits as Jews.
And do you think today, I mean, for those of us, oopsie, I just lost my thing. For those of us who are more on the agnostic side of things, or can you talk to us how I was talking to actually a rabbi at your temple who was talking a lot about Judaism as we're a people of behavior. And it's a lot, a lot of character development. And what's been so interesting to me is that it's all about, we're all works in progress. We're always working on ourselves. And actually Yom Kippur, which just happened, in some ways I think Character Day is like a secular Yom Kippur, because it's like, who are you? Who do you want to be? What practices are you going to work on to become the more of who you want to be? And we have all this research and ideas and different wisdoms about that. But talk to me about Judaism as a way of behaving, as ethical conduct, as you were saying, but just as behaving as people in this world.
Well, the whole practice of being a Jew is much less about what you're thinking about than what you're doing and your behavior and how you're exhibiting your human characteristics in the world. And there's an idea that you are born really like a tabula rasa with a blank slate. And one of the great Jewish philosophers, Bachya ibn Bakuda, said, your days are like scrolls, write on them only what you want remembered. And I think that has a great deal to do with how important it is the way that we act in the world. Who we are is the way that we're perceived in terms of our actions and our behavior. And between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, I love this idea in Judaism that you are given an annual opportunity for a second chance in every way, and a real spiritual reset, so that you have this opportunity to look back not only at the year's activities or the year's behaviors and actions, but you have to look back at your entire lifetime and think about, how am I going to impact the world and my relationships, my own behavior, starting from Yom Kippur forward.
I love that. I just keep finding it more and more profound the older I get, and the more work I do on character, just what to go deep every year. I mean, every year for the high holidays and for Character Day, on what are the things I want to work on. I mean, I'm always trying to think about things I can improve, or, you know, this wire keeps coming out as my ear to you. Okay. And you know what?
Like, can I ask you a question?
You want to ask me a question?
Yeah, I'm a rabbi. I'm supposed to ask you a question.
Okay, ask me a question.
Do you think there's any coincidence in the fact that you created Character Day right around Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur?
No, that was not a coincidence. We actually, okay, that's a great question. We originally did it in the spring. And the more we thought about it, a lot of educators, you know, Character Day is in schools around the world and country and in temples and churches. But we, you know, because I am Jewish, I did think of it around high holidays to be aligned with that. Like, these are the times of year you start your school year, it's fall, you're starting this new year of thinking about, who do you want to be? What do you want to work on? What are your goals? So that was very aligned. And one of the things that we're asking everyone, we're asking people online, anyone listening, and we're asking all of our illustrious speakers like you, are, what's the best piece? Now I wish I had a beard. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received? Because we feel like the advice that you value both shares wisdom, and it also really illustrates what you value, what character strengths you're working on, or what you value as a person. So do any kind of best pieces of advice come to mind over the course of your life?
Yeah, I think two things. One, and they're linked to each other. One was about trusting my own intuition. And I think that so often we give our power away, and we allow other people to not only have a tremendous influence, sometimes for good and for bad, but in other ways we give away our intuition when we don't trust ourselves. And I think authenticity, modeling authenticity, and really feeling comfortable being your authentic self and not having to make excuses. And when you make changes, as a result, that should come from your authentic self, and it should be driven by something which we call kavanah, or intention. Which is your
Kavanah, that's beautiful.
Kavanah, intention, yes.
I love that. And you know, you and I and my husband Ken are actually doing a workshop together this fall/winter.
Yes, we are coming up. It is coming up in a couple months.
We are, those of you watching, we are going to this new retreat center called 1440. And I love the name. It comes from, you only have 1440 minutes in a day. How are you going to spend them? And we're going to talk about technology Shabbats and kind of the history of Shabbat. That's the wisdom you're going to bring about a day of rest. We're kind of desperately needing that in our society right now, a day of reflection. And
so desperate.
I mean, I feel like we are living in an amygdala network. We're just all response and stress. And, you know, I'm so excited to have this weekend. Anyone who's listening can join us. We're super excited. It's my first retreat. You've been doing retreats for, I saw, 20 years.
Yes, for 20 years I have. It's one of my favorite things to do, retreats, because it takes you out of the normal. And Judaism is really a religion about time, not about space. Like, we could have the retreat at a BART station, as long as we're not going to. We're going to have this great retreat. But Judaism says you can have holy time anywhere. It doesn't matter where it is, as long as you take the time and separate yourself for a period of time. And in regard to Character Day, you need time to develop your character.
Yeah.
Everybody agrees on that. And Shabbat is so much a practice of kind of sifting through the places in yourself once a week and saying, I'm going to emerge from this past week and I'm going to enter the next week in a way where I'm a better person.
Yeah. No, that is truly on Shabbat, where my family and I have unplugged for almost a decade. I do my biggest thinking about, you know, I think about the world, I think about our family, I think about myself, my relationships. It's definitely my day to think about character. So there's character day, there's character every day, and then there's once a week, which the Jews call Shabbat, but anyone can do it, of a time of reflection. And that's what we're so busy. That's what this day is all about for us, is that, I mean, I'm just watching the news all the time, and we need to unplug from that and get grounded so that we have perspective on what we're connecting to. Because we're just always on and responding and tweeting and posting and emailing. It's like there's no room for reflection, and I think we need it now more than ever. And I have to just thank you again for the incredible, you gave such an incredible sermon this year, and which people can listen to, right? Is it posted or?
Posted. It's on SoundCloud under Rabbi Sidney Mintz, like Australia, at Sidney Mintz.
It was so powerful. It was, you have to listen to it. And if you want to join us on our retreat, it's happening 1440 November 30th, that weekend. And thank you. I know you're off to Italy. You're going to the Vatican?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm just thrilled to be here with you. If I could impart one more piece of wisdom.
Yeah.
So much of our own character development has to do with something that you're supposed to really be intensely focused on between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and that's self-forgiveness. And I think we live in a world where there is so much guilt and anxiety and shame that being self-forgiving is not something that we utilize as a secret weapon as powerfully as we should and as we can. If you forgive yourself from using technology too much, it opens up the space to no longer use that technology.
And is there,
and so
no, I love the self-forgiveness stuff. Is there kind of a practice or thing that you can leave people with on the steps to kind of forgive yourself? Because I know, we spend a whole day thinking about what have I done that I want to let go of or I wasn't proud of. But is there like a mental thought exercise on taking that step of really forgiving yourself?
Well, the mental thought stuff in Judaism says that there's these 10 days when you are closest to the divine presence in the universe, and therefore you are closest to your own true self. And during those 10 days, it's an open path to think about the ways that not only have you wronged yourself, but if you've ruptured any relationship. Because most of the stuff that we have angst and guilt and shame about has to do with somebody else, someone else in our life, in our world. And so the mental practice is to actually take a picture of that person who you feel like has wronged you, or you've been wronged by, or you've wronged, or you just haven't communicated. And to take that person into your mind and into your heart and ask yourself, is that the way in this next year that I want to be with this person and therefore be with myself? Or do I have the guts, do I have the chutzpah to get on the phone and call them and say, let's really peel back the layers and see who we are together and who we can be. So I think it's a great, very challenging.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, and have an amazing time in Italy. Thank you
so much.
Thank you for your
It's
time.
great.
Okay, yeah, I need one of those. I need that. That's like the scene from Annie Hall. Okay, yes. I need that. Thank you, Rabbi.
Tiffany Shalane.
Shalom.
Blessings to you and your team.
Shalom.
Happy Character Day.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Shalom.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. This is one of my favorite parts of programming when we get to tap into live events all over the world. So I'm really excited to be tapping into an event that happened last night in Hong Kong, where we're going to be meeting with all different people at Hong Kong who have been participating in Character Day in a large way for the past 3 years. They've had PSA campaigns with local celebrities and athletes talking about character education throughout the entire year. They have the Secretary of Education at their event. And so let's tap in and see what is in store in Hong Kong last evening.
At 2018 Character Day Hong Kong. I want to welcome you to our celebration of Character Day in Hong Kong, and we're currently at Telford Plaza, one of the busiest malls in our city. My name is Christine, and I am the founder and chairperson of Character Education Foundation, the organizer of Character Day in Hong Kong. We're so thrilled to be celebrating Character Day for the 3rd time in Hong Kong as a citywide event. This year, we are especially thrilled because we have some very special guests with us. Today, we have the Secretary of Education and the Permanent Secretary from the Home Affairs Bureau, both from the Hong Kong government. We also have representatives from the Hong Kong Jockey Club Charities Trust. We have representatives from universities across our city, educational organizations, other charities, and members of the press coming to support this event. So we are so thrilled. last 3 years, we've been able to work with over 200 schools and organizations in bringing Character Day and its discussions and events to them, as well as having our messages of character and the importance of character across trains and train stations across our city. In total, every year we get about a press value of over 20 million Hong Kong dollars. So it's been very exciting to see the momentum that's built up in our city in character education, and we're really hoping for more. We're so thankful that we get to be a part of this global movement in bringing character and character education to the forefront, and we really hope that the rest of the world will have great celebrations as we have in Hong Kong here. So wishing you all a happy Character Day. 品格日快樂.
So how awesome is Hong Kong? I just love that video, and a really special shout out. Thank you so much to Connie Mack for sending that to us regarding Character Day. I hope you had an amazing event. It looked awesome. Up next is Amarillo, Texas, Amarillo Collegiate Academy Junior High School. We are live with Katisha Renew in her high school class. Katisha, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
We are wonderful. How are you?
Terrific, terrific. We are so excited to be live with you. I know that you have had so many amazing activities today, and you are at a senior living center. Can you tell me what's going on?
Yes, ma'am. We have our junior class. We're actually a K through 12 school, and our junior class is here at the Craig Senior Living, and they made the decision to come out here and do a spa day with the residents. They're painting fingernails, they're playing board games, talking, sharing stories, just having a good old time. So we're trying to get everybody moved back up so they can interview and give you kind of stories and tell you more about what's going on here.
I love that too, and I especially love that you gave your students the choice of what they wanted to do for volunteering for the day. Can you tell me some other ideas that they came up with? I know you have tons up your sleeve for the day.
Oh my goodness, yes. We'll share a few pictures in a moment, but the students, we allowed them to choose what they wanted to do, and the 8th grade class, they chose to get, sorry, I get a little emotional here. So the 8th graders chose to get supplies donated, or they went and purchased them. It was toiletry items, and they made bags for the homeless, and so they called those ACA Bags of Hope, and they're out delivering the
I love your emotion. Yeah. No, go with it. It's beautiful.
Sorry about that. And then we have a group at the food bank, and they are sorting food. They're working the garden, getting food boxed up so that the food can be delivered. And then we have another group, 2 more groups at nursing homes around the community. And then at the school, we just have so many stations. I can't even explain all of those, but character all day throughout.
Yeah, and what I really love is, I mean, your event was very unique because you're really putting character into action. And so I really commend you for putting all of these creative ideas and letting your students really run with it. I would love to hear from some of your students if they're available. Do they have any best pieces of advice for us?
Yes, let me grab them really quickly.
Great.
We also some residents too that were previous teachers, and so we were going to ask them some advice. But our first student here is Drew Helterbrand, and Drew, do you have advice about? Oh, yeah. So if you'll just look right here, and she said hi. Hi. Sorry, can't hear as well, but so can you tell us what character means to you?
Character is, well, it means basically just being a decent person to other people. Thank you.
Okay, you can say it again.
Okay, to me, character is just, being decent to other people, not a complete dirtbag, honestly. Striving to be better.
All right, thank you, Drew. And Alyssa's over here with the resident.
Wonderful. And we have, unfortunately, we just have time for Alyssa, and then we're going to have to wrap to our next event. But I definitely want to hear what Alyssa has to say. Hello.
So, Alyssa, what does character mean to you?
Character to me is like what makes your morals and ethics as a person. It drives like what you do and who you are. I feel like it's just the basis of you as a person. Like if you're a determined person, like obviously your character trait is determination. It just makes up who you are and like how you live your life.
Absolutely. That's a great answer. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Well,
And
thank
we
you. Unfortunately, we have to wrap, Katisha, but thank you so much. And please do enjoy the spa day with everyone. We're wishing you well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Take care.
Everybody, bye.
All right, up next, we have a school in Mississippi, Leland High School AP English class with Alexandra Melnick. I'm really, really excited about this one because Alexandra is doing a big art project with her class where they're doing vision boards and talking about their greatest character strengths. Do we have Mississippi on board? Here we are. Hello, how's everyone doing? Wonderful to see all of you. Alexandra, are you there?
Yeah, I am. Hey guys, I don't know if you can see me. Let me turn around. Here we are.
Hi, wonderful to see all of you. So I would love to hear what you all have planned. Have you started your vision boards around character strengths yet?
Yes, we have. Michael's going to tell us all about it.
So we can't hear you. Can you get a little bit closer to the?
Yeah, ma'am.
There you go. Perfect.
All right, my name is Mark. Class is working on.
I can't hear, unfortunately. But keep going. If everyone can hear him, then that's great. Go right ahead.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. Today, me and my class are working on an art project about our creative strengths. I got weight. And our weaknesses too. But mainly we're just focusing on the strengths. So me, this is my other classmate Ricardo. Can y'all see that?
Yeah.
Yes, curiosity and initiative. Great.
Yeah. This is his strengths, his two greatest strengths.
So those are your greatest strengths, okay?
So these are on some of my classmates.
Oh, okay.
And what this is, Creativity by Kiana King. And she's showing like how she is very creative. And this is her greatest strength.
I love that. That's beautiful.
And my creative strength is curiosity, knowledge, growth, and understanding. I'm not quite.
And what are you most curious about?
How the universe works.
That's a good thing to be curious about. I agree. That's great.
Yes, ma'am. And growing into like your own person, being the leader, and following directions at all times.
Yeah.
Okay.
This another one our classmate.
Yeah.
And what is the initiative?
It's initiative right now.
Okay. Taking initiative. That's an important one too. That's wonderful. You all have been busy at work.
Yeah, it's been pretty fun. So yeah, that's what we've been up to.
That's terrific. Awesome. Do you, Alexander, do you have any best piece of advice or any of your students that they'd want to share with us for the day?
Yeah.
Yes. What is that?
Hey, never give up, man. Always chase your dream.
Okay.
Oh, we seniors too.
I got one. Believe in yourself.
Okay, I think we lost connection. Okay. Yeah, you say?
I got one. Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself.
I think we might have lost connection, but I just want to give a special thanks to Mississippi Leland. Loved all of your hashtag creativity for Character Day. So right now, I'm going to be bringing back Tiffany, and we're going to be closing out the live stream.
I mean, they're done.
That was so fun. Oh my goodness. Okay, and Renee's coming in, and you can stay, Mackenzie. We can talk about what we just saw. Here we go.
I don't think there's a...
Hey, come on in. Okay, so that was so cool. I have to say that, come on in, Renee. This is the living room of our film studio at Let It Ripple. This is actually my office, but You know, we want it to look much more like, we want it to feel much more like we're just having a massive, fabulous conversation, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So we even when we're prepping it, you know, this is all an experiment because it's really not done very much, where we're linking together all these events. So we are pushing the envelope of technology every year. Yes. And you push the envelope with the Air Force. You handled that quite well. I was like, I can't hear you. Actually, but let's do a little recap. Like, what was your favorite thing that he said? I mean, there was so many things, but you want to share yours?
My favorite thing that he said was about empathy and working with compassion with all the people who are in the Air Force, and also that the men and women who join are on loan from their families, and it's their job to take good care of them and to develop the character that they already have, and if he doesn't do that, then he's not doing his job. And I love that humanity is present in the Air Force, and they're taking care of us all.
Yeah, beautiful. And one of my favorite things that Bill Burnett from Stanford said was, okay, here's an exercise, is to take any object, it could be a Sharpie, it could be a paperclip, and think of 100 things you could do with that object, and that will strengthen your curiosity and creativity muscle. And of course, Sydney, man, her beard, that was fantastic. And then, Hong Kong, you have to understand that we had no idea that there was this massive territory-wide Character Day every year. I used to live in Hong Kong, so I especially love that. I lived there in my 20s. But just to see their Secretary of Education and then go to Mississippi and Texas, it was just, we only started doing this the last year where we're tapping into the events, and my fantasy is that, like, all day long, the fantasy is we tap into every event.
The events are awesome. I love seeing the kids with
the
elderly people and the art projects, and it's awesome.
So good. Okay, so this video is going to end, and then a new one is going to start. So you can either go to our Facebook Live or stay here on the site if you're here at characterday.org. We have amazing speakers coming up. We're going to talk about, do schools kill creativity? Not from these events we're seeing, but Sir Ken Robinson's going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about math, science, and the growth mindset. You're speaking to Olympia.
Yes, yay, Olympia LaPointe.
And we're going to talk about grit with Angela Duckworth. So this session is ending, but stay right here and click on the next video, and we'll see you real soon.
See you soon.